Welcome to another episode of Epic Understanding. I am your host, Coach Erica Love. Now, listen, I love authors, okay? I love when people pour their hearts out and I get to understand what's in their mind. But let me tell you, Mr. Sugar Ray, he loves authors because he likes the greens that come with the things, okay? As a matter of fact, I was talking to him and I was saying, is there something special that you want me to ask you? And he said, books, books, books. And I said, I'm going to ask you about more than that. He said, yeah, but that's where the bread is. The bread is in the book. So he is going to talk to us about how the bread and why the bread is in the books. But I'm gonna get a little personal. We're gonna find out some more information as well. What's going on, Mr. Sugar Ray? Let me
Hey,
get you off mute. Hey,
what's going on? How are you today?
I am fine, Mister. The bread is in the books.
Oh, listen. I'll tell you why I say the bread is in the books, right?
Yeah.
So long story short, I grew up in depending on the community, that the audience,
Hmm.
some would call it an urban community. I call it the
Okay.
hood, right? I grew
Okay.
up in the hood, and
Hmm.
my pops he asked me one day. He said, listen, he said if I had $100 sitting on the table, or if I had $100 worth of books sitting on the table, which one would you go for? And me
Hmm.
being a kid, I'm like, man, give me that $100. And
Yeah.
he said, wrong answer. He said,
Mm.
you go for that $100 worth of books, because that $100 worth of books is going to teach you how to make even more money in the long run. And
Hmm.
so that's the path that I've been on since I was a kid, is tapping into where the money resides, as they say, where the money reside.
Hey,
And
hey.
that's there's power in our stories, and there's so much information that's locked in, inside those books, that help us get to that bread.
Okay. So I definitely dig it. Can you tell me, please, how many best-selling books do you have again? How many is that?
Let me see. To date, we are at 226 Amazon number one best-selling authors,
Mhm.
to this point, and that number will keep growing between this weekend, next weekend, the weekends that follow, because just about every weekend this year, we've launched at least one author to Amazon number one bestseller.
Oh my gosh. So what percentage of your, I'm going to call them artists, but they're authors. What percentage of your authors do you hit the bestseller list?
What percentage?
Yeah.
All of them.
All.
All of them. If I asked this question, if you have a winning recipe,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you share it with everybody you know?
There you go. There you go. I can't tell you how much I like that. I just have to appreciate it. Okay. So all of them are bestsellers. And the green is in the book. So what's one of the, first things someone should do besides call you? What?
Besides call me, the first thing that somebody should do is know what they want to do with their they should know what they want to do. They should
Mm-hmm.
know what they want to write about, right?
Okay.
And here's what I mean. A lot of people say, I want to write a book about, just say they want to write a book about science. They got no
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of science. It's like, why would you write something that you don't know about? You're not going to be passionate about it. You're just writing to go with the trend.
Mm-hmm.
But pick a topic that means something to you, something that you're passionate about. And the reason that you want it to be something that you're passionate about is because you're going to put more energy into it, you're going to put more effort into it, and you're going to put more work into getting that in front of people. And you already know that if it's something that you're passionate about, there's so many others out there that are going to be passionate about the same thing, and that allows the book to have even more relevance. So pick a great topic, something that you are knowledgeable about, that you have experience with, that you've studied, and that you're passionate about.
I got it. So let's write a book about why your name is Sugar Ray. What's
That's a short story though. That's a short.
okay? Go ahead and give it to me.
The the short version is in the 40s there was a great boxer, heavyweight champion of the world named Sugar Ray Robinson. My
Hmm.
mom, not my mom, my grandma liked the name so much she gave it to my dad. Once my dad got the name, he met my mom. My mom
Hmm.
fell in love with my dad, and here comes Junior. So I
Okay.
am actually named after the great man who I call my father, Sugar Ray Destin Sr.
All right. So that's good. So no relations to the actual Sugar Ray Leonard. No relation,
Nah,
but
that
inspiration.
yeah, his name is actually Ray Leonard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was
Okay.
actually Ray Robinson and Ray Leonard, but I got the real name, Sugar Ray.
All right. I'll take it.
I'm not
I
boxing either one of them for it though.
Mhm. Well, you know what? If you was gonna do anything, you'd play basketball, right? Because you're like 6'7". Is that right?
I'm 6'7". Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and my days of playing basketball are long, long, long gone.
What was that like? Were you professional? Were you good at it? What was
Nah.
that like? You
So
was a good player?
I actually played basketball in high school,
Okay.
and I guess we can call it playing because I was on the team. Now my first love was football, and my
Okay.
freshman year I went into high school as a freshman at 6'2", and
Mm-hmm.
by the end of football season I was already 6'5". So in 3 months I had a
Wow.
3-inch growth spurt. Um,
Okay.
Basketball coaches just kept hounding me. Hey, we can make you into a great player. We can make you into a great player. And I said, that's not my sport. I play football. Well, long story short, the football coaches actually said, nah, you need to go out there because they keep coming to us every day asking about you. So I went, played basketball, and I sat on the bench for 4 years in high school. So I was what you would call a defensive specialist because anything coming near the rim, that was mine. If you let a small forward, a guard drive to the lane, I'm taking it off the basket. But
Okay.
yeah, I played basketball, but I sat way on the edge of the bench.
I got it. I got it. So you would not write a book about basketball for sure.
Absolutely not, unless it was the fundamentals.
Okay, I got it. And I know you pay close attention to the fundamentals. So give us one more tip about because I'm looking for three here. One more tip. What's the next thing that somebody should do?
Next thing that people should do when writing that book is prepare that outline, right? And the reason that you want to have an outline is because you want to know what you're talking about. When writing a book, it's not like writing a paper. Most people think, I wrote a lot of papers when I was in college. I can write a book. No, you can't.
Mhm.
No,
Okay.
because a book is actually anywhere between 75 to well over 100, 200 pages. So if you're just writing just to write, it's not going to have a consistent or a set flow. You want to have points that you can actually break down for people and leave people with information. Because and so that's why we want to start that book with an outline, because that outline gives you a structure, gives you a roadmap of where you're trying to go. And a month from now, while you're still working on that book, you're in chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6, wherever you're at in that book, your thought process is not going to be the exact same as when you first started it out. So that that outline gives you something to go back to gives you those fundamental steps to actually go back to. Um, After you have your outline, you have your key points for each chapter. Write,
Mhm.
write. And what I mean is, don't stop writing to correct yourself, because that's what
Okay.
most of us do. We have that perfectionist syndrome. Ooh, this sentence should be this instead. Don't do that. Just let it dump. Let it all dump the first time out, and just write everything all the way through. Don't go back in and try to edit chapter 1 before you write chapter 2. Write the whole thing out. Then you go back and reread, proofread, your book, and then you get it in the hands of an actual professional editor. Just because your
Mhm.
homeboy Pookie right down the street say he wrote a book. Listen, I done had a lot of Pookies that then came through and they've written some books. They may look like good writers. They were not. They would not. They had great editors. That's the difference. You don't have to be the best writer, but you need a professional editor and editing team that can actually help take that material from where it is to a level that's a professional. And uh let's go back. Let's say somebody that's written one book. They know what
Mhm.
their writing is like, but they don't know how to measure different styles, different tracks. Editors actually make the difference because they're going to read it to see what your voice is. And
Mm.
once they know what your voice is, then they're going to implement different tools in those corrections that will help improve and take it to another level. You may say a lot in your writing. You may say, you know what I mean, in your writing a lot. And they're going to take those clutch words or those crutch words, and they're going to find replacements for you, synonyms. They're going to find things that make it more powerful. They're going to take that lazy writing out of it and bring it to a completely different level. Now, that's the writing process. But there's also something that needs to take place, and that is the research behind it. And when I say the research behind it, you want to research a few things, and I'm going to give you out enough without giving you too much, right?
Okay.
Um, when you research, if you're researching your topic, see what's already out there. Don't write what everybody else has been written. You don't want to recreate the seven habits of highly effective people, because all of a sudden, you learn what smart goals were, and that's what you want to write an entire book about. Don't do that. Write something that if you see, okay, I'm writing a business book and I see the seven habits are already out here, so we know that habits are taken care of. We know that the 4-hour work week is out here. We know that miracle morning is out here. What's missing? What's missing? What's missing? Oh, there's something that I've been doing that nobody else is, and it's working for me. That's your book. That's your book, because now it's something that you're passionate about and you fill that gap.
So
Go ahead.
I definitely understand where you're coming from. What do you think about this? Sometimes, like the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, honestly, is one of my favorite books in the world. I'm so nerdy on this. I have the book,
Which one was
I
that?
have the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Okay. I
Okay.
have the book, I have the tapes, the, the little, the kind with the little strip in it. Okay. Old school. And I have the
Mm-hmm.
CD. Okay. And honestly, the tapes were given to me. That's how I was introduced to it. And it felt like gold. Okay. Now, whenever, you know, I am an instructor, okay? And so sometimes when I'm teaching students and I teach adults, um, they hate reading that book. It's so dry and it's so boring to them
Mm-hmm.
that they just think his voice is so blah, 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 blah. Now, I
Yeah.
personally find it invigorating, but they think it's boring. However, I have taught those habits in the Erica voice, in the Erica style, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
regurgitating his information. I only say that because do you think it's a good idea to put a fresh voice? It's kind of like a remake. You know, when they remake a really good movie, right? But they bring it to a different level to introduce it to a different audience. What do you think about that aspect of things?
Mm, I'm I'm on the fence.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of originality, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to, especially when it comes down to books, right? You can take the topic and reinvent it based on, I mean, we can look at Dr. Dennis Kimbro's, you know Think and Grow Rich, a black choice. He took Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and he
Hmm.
just went and interviewed black
Yeah.
millionaires instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so yeah, that's a fresh spin to it, and it's in a voice that that people wouldn't they wouldn't normally go. Nobody's, nobody in the hood is like, Think and Grow Rich. Who is this Napoleon Hill guy? They're not doing that, but they see Dennis Kimbrough, Think and Grow Rich, a black choice, and now all of a sudden it's, yo, I got to pick that up.
Right.
That's the book for me, fam. But so I'm not against that. I'm not against that method. But what I am is if somebody were to go in and say, you know what, out of 999 words that this author just wrote, I'm going to take 996 of them and change 3 words, and
Mm,
now it's mine.
okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if you put a fresh spin on it, that's completely different than just plagiarizing. And
Yeah, no plagiarism. We don't do that. You know what?
yeah.
You could get just really quick. I had to I had to give somebody an F for doing that, and it was my first time doing that. But she failed the class. Oh,
Oh,
I was sad. I was sad. So no, we don't plagiarize. Um, and
don't feel
that has
sad.
happened. That has happened more than once. But if you have to give somebody an F and they fail a class, I get really invested, emotionally invested in my students, and so
Mhm.
um, I find it painful um, when they have to receive a harsh punishment. But anyway, I digress.
So wait. Let's not move on from that. You're taking more responsibility for her actions than she is.
Oh,
And
I agree. I think I think I have a personal problem. I have to talk to myself about those things, but that is just a part of me
mhm.
that I wrestle with. Um, you know.
but but it's here's here's the one of the keys to success is accountability, right?
Mhm.
And and like I said, we have a winning system that
Mhm.
works now, but I cannot take more responsibility for somebody else's success than they take for their own.
Mhm.
And so if that student found delight in plagiarizing,
Mhm.
then they're going to learn in the long run it's not going to help because they didn't learn how to use
Mhm.
the most critical tool in their work box, and that's their mind, their critical thinking skills, right? So
Uh, All I can say is because I went ahead and I put forth the punishment, I celebrate myself. Um, because I was not the giver of the punishment. I was just the deliverer of the
mhm,
punishment. They knew what the consequence was. And it's not like I don't hammer it home. I just don't, I take no pleasure in it. And it is 100% painful for me. And when I've talked to students about these things, as a matter of fact, at the beginning of the semester, I'll say something like, don't do this because I'm going to be very upset and you are going to put me in a position where I'm going to have to do something that makes me sad. And I
mhm.
might even say, please don't do that to me
Yeah.
because you're going to feel it, but I'm really not going to like it. And so most of the time things are going to go well. It just so happens that this particular paper was one that you couldn't repeat because there are outs, okay,
Yeah.
that are built into the system. Like if your first time plagiarizing or something, you get a zero for the work and you have to redo something. It's twice as many words and it's worth half the credit, and so you like dig yourself out, right?
Yeah.
But this particular paper, it was like a final exam um, kind of paper. Her grade was already in the dumps. Okay. So,
She wasn't, but
right,
in that situation, that student hadn't learned the lesson.
right.
So if if you would have given them a passing grade, then what would have happened? They wouldn't have
Oh,
learned.
absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I don't cheat now. You're not about to get me caught up in your foolishness. Uh-uh. No, no. But just think of it, how a parent might say, this hurts me more than it hurts you. Um, I
Yeah.
honestly get invested in people's success. And when I tell you I take no pleasure in anybody's downfall, I do not. You know, um, I'm a cheerleader. I'm an advocate. And I'm up there blowing the whistle at you to go 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 go. And if you mess up, I am mad because you have messed up. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, what are you doing? Like I can get kind of riled up and disappointed, but because there is a broken-hearted nature if you invest in somebody. There just
Yeah.
is, you know. I didn't
I,
carry
I
you all this way for you to create some foolishness. What kind of mess is that?
I 100% agree. And I've had people that I've worked with, and similar things. And what dawned on me was something that one of my friends used to say a long time ago. He said, "You can't raise an adult. You cannot raise an adult." And basic point is, it does not matter how much you want somebody. Um, it does not matter how much you want someone to win. If they don't want
Mhm,
it for themselves, then it's neither here nor there. So yeah, don't let that burden be yours. That's their burden to
mhm,
carry. As long as you gave 100% and they gave 10, guess what? They
mhm.
got to get their other 90 up.
Right, they got to get it up. So I'm just going to say this. That's something that I always work on. Um, I have to give myself a pep talk whenever I have to do something difficult. But I think um, that I've come a long way because I can do it.
Yeah.
Um, the first, this is consistent with me. It's a consistent problem. When I first became my a manager, and I had the power to fire, right? There was this guy, and he was so awful. He was just awful. And he had been in the job probably for about a year and a half. His numbers were crappy, and he would just say the most cringeworthy stuff. It was crazy. So, in order to fire him, what I did was I found him a job in the same field where he had no customer contact. Okay. Then I fired him and I gave him a party.
Mm-mm. You still care more about his success.
Listen, I'm telling you that was my first management job where I had the ability to fire. I am telling you about this flaw in myself. It's just an issue with me.
You got that Karen gene, and I love it. The only thing about that though is that, like I said, when you care more about somebody else's success than they do,
Mhm, mhm.
they will it's going to take them a lot longer to get it.
Right.
Because I'll say this from experience, it wasn't until I started bumping my head in life
Mhm,
and really feeling those bruises and those scars that
mhm,
that it was like, okay, it's time to get it right. um
mhm, mhm.
So I think we all have to go through that phase where it's not all uphill. When you start facing some of those slopes and valleys
Mhm.
and peaks, that's when it hits home, and that's when the most growth is going to occur.
So this is just something that happens when you are coaching and when you're helping people reach a certain level of success.
Yeah.
You have to give them bad news,
Oh yeah.
and okay. In giving them bad news, a defense mechanism is this: they blame you. The fury. Okay. Now,
Been there a bunch of times. Trust me.
How do you deal with that?
I don't.
What?
So let me break that down. Like I said, there will be times, and again, I'll go back into, in order to understand where I am, I have to go back and give tribute to a few people.
Mhm.
One of the people that gave me my drive for success is my older sister. She's actually 9 years older than me, and I saw her go through the ropes of being on of being an amazing athlete. So when she started, she wasn't that good, but she had to keep going. Right? She would come home early in her career, and she would be crying because she lost a race, or she came in third or something like that, but she
Mhm.
stuck with it. She kept working towards it, and over time she actually became better. She took her high school team to state twice, her sophomore and her junior year. Her senior
Mhm.
year, she was not able to run for her high school because she had to do what it took to graduate on time. So she had to run against college athletes and professional athletes her senior year in high school. um, what I learned from that is fortitude, and that you cannot worry about what other people say about you, what other people think about you. um and I loved it because later in life, in college, she ended up as a 23-time All-American at the University of Texas at Austin, two-time Olympic gold medalist. But saying that to say, when I saw her run, I want to say probably around from her junior year in college and forward, she always had Oakleys on. She would always put on shades during the
Mm.
race, and that symbolically was her putting her blinders on, and not worrying about how many people in the crowd. And you got to keep in mind, when you're running at that level, you got hundreds of thousands of people in the crowd. Some of them love you, some of them hate you, but she had to stay focused on her lane, where she was going. And as a result, it taught me, it doesn't matter if it's sports, it doesn't matter if it's life, it doesn't matter what it is. There are going to be some people that absolutely love you. They're going to love you because of what you've done for them, or because of the light that shines on you or shines in you. There's going to be people that there are going to be people that that hate you for absolutely no reason. And
Mhm.
it can be stuff that you have no control on, but they just do not like you. There are going to be people that you helped, and I've experienced this firsthand several times. Help them go from nothing to actually building an audience and building more. And for whatever reason, now they think that they are you. And as a result, they start
Ooh.
to hate what you did for them because they can't duplicate it. And what I
Mhm.
realize is, again, that's your burden, that's not mine. So when it comes down to someone that doesn't like you for criticism, someone that doesn't like you because of something that happened in their life, someone that doesn't like you for whatever reason, somebody that is not in agreement with you, guess what? You're not in my crowd. You're not
Mhm.
part of my tribe. And God placed us on this earth to find our tribe. And once you find your tribe, those naysayers, those haters, whatever it is, they don't matter, because there's a, like the person just put in the chat, there's over 7 billion people in this world. There are so many that are rooting for you. And what I've learned from experience is that there are going to be more strangers rooting for you and cheering you on than it will be your own people sometimes. And so if you get caught in those moments of, oh, you know what, um Janice doesn't like me anymore because I had to give her some bad news. Janice can go sit in the corner, cry herself a river, build a bridge, and get over it, because Janice is the one that is dealing with that. That's not my burden. I'd let Janice have what God told me that she needed. Now it's
Mhm.
time for me to move on to Jim and help Jim to get to where he's going. And then after Jim, it's going to be Mark, and then it's going to be Sally, and then it's going to be whoever. Their burden, and their self, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Their self-confidence has nothing to do with you. So you
Mhm.
don't take their burden on. You stay in your lane, spread love, spread wisdom, and share your light with others. Some will love you, some will hate you, and some will be indifferent. It's not
Mhm.
your job how they respond to you. It's your job to do your absolute best, no matter what it is that you do. I don't care if you sweeping floors. Somebody will walk by and say, "I can't believe you swept in that spot. That was my favorite spot." My job is to sweep this floor. By the time I'm done with it, it's gonna be sparkling fresh. You can get on and get off my floor, and when I'm done, you can get back on here. I'm gonna come back and sweep it up again. But your perception is not my burden. It's yours. You got to
That's
get over there.
that's beautiful. So these days, everybody is, able to just pop off and say, almost anything. I mean, just tweeting things and saying anything and everything in social
Cyber gangsters.
media, right? And some people that,
I said cyber gangsters. Yeah.
cyber gangsters. Oh yes, there you go. That's a good one. Somebody type that in. Hashtag cyber gangster. I love it. But like in a forum like this, sometimes you get welcome to a platform, and then maybe it's not a welcoming platform. Okay, you thought you were there for one reason, but you get
You're
a
bombarded. Yeah.
bombarded, or something like that. Or better yet, maybe somebody absolutely like, what if I started saying false things about you? I've welcomed you here, and I say, well, the reason Sugar Ray, da 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 da, the only reason he does that is because he's, money grubbing, blah 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 blah. Somebody lies about you real time on air to a wide audience. What would you do?
If they lied about me real time, I say, "Wow, it's amazing that you feel that way about me." And in actuality, if you think that I'm all about the money, you should really check my stats. You should check my
Mm-hmm.
resume. Actually, Google me
Mm-hmm.
and look at all the things that I did before I was doing what I do now. Look at all the youth that I impacted before, because that's my true passion. The thousands of youth that I
So
that
you
I
would
impact.
have them. You would just talk about a fact. I mean, I just made up
Oh
anything,
yeah.
right? Right there. But one of the, I think, the most creative ways that people lie is where they mix uh, falsehood
Fact
with
and
the
fiction.
truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they take some truth, and then they sprinkle a lie in there to build a narrative that makes them, uh, you know, that creates controversy. It's really done. What I found that it is, it's done to create controversy,
Mhm.
and so it really would create a situation where you and the host, you're it's like a back and forth, and they really, quite frankly, don't mind the tension, because
Diversity. Yeah.
the adversity, because it creates content,
Ratings.
right?
Yeah.
It creates content, and meanwhile, um, you're sitting there like, what? Because you have this mar, um, on your record, just because they decided to throw something out there to create content for their platform, and they don't value the relationship with you. And of course, you're not going to talk to them or whatever, but it's a wrap because they got what they wanted out of it. They got content out of it. What do you think about that?
I'm gonna quote one of the strangest verses that you've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
Lil Wayne said it this way:
Mm-hmm.
"Headed Jesus, baby, we won't break."
Wait a minute. Say it. What?
I said, Lil Wayne said they hated Jesus, baby. We won't break.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But you want to know what? Jesus was on the cross and dying for everybody's sins. That is,
Hmm.
I, I'm just going to say that's painful. It's painful. I want to acknowledge it. Do you think it's painful?
To carry the burden of others.
Well, no, 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 no. I think that's definitely a separate issue. I think because as you rise and go through, I guess what I'm really doing is I'm almost putting a warning out there.
Oh, I
Um,
I, I know it's coming
Right. I'm
because
putting a warning out there because what I've found out is it is not a lack of talent that keeps you from rising. It is not a lack of resilience. And it's not a lack of character. It is the grinding nature of others.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't even want to call that last thing that I described a hater. I would call that a person just devaluing you and your energy, just using you. They're using you. That's what that is. And so here you are, you poured your time, energy, and effort into a relationship, and then poof, you've been used.
Yeah.
You know,
And
that's
that's
something
part
that's
of
going to happen to you as you go up. You meet really toxic people. You can't let
that's
that hold you back, though.
nah, and that's part of like I said, I love books for that
Mm-hmm.
reason. Um,
Mm-hmm.
recently picked up Rick Ross's book, his first book. I actually enjoy his second book, but I've been into his first book, um,
Yeah.
and I've been through it now 2 times, and
Mm-hmm.
it's called Hurricanes. And he talked about how the media does that exact thing. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sometimes the media, or they're not looking for the facts, they're looking for the story that's going to sell and help to build their
Ooh,
platform.
say it again. Say it again.
and and the beautiful thing about that is, um good or bad, there's going to be people that are going to look you up as a result. So
Mm-hmm.
if someone is saying negative things about you, you're gonna have people that instantly become that join your hate club, and then you're gonna have other people that join your fan club once they actually take the time and look and see who you are. And once they, if your character is solid, they're going to find, oh, this person was lying about them the whole time. You don't have to defend
Mm-hmm.
yourself. The worst thing that you can do in some of those toxic situations is sit back and give an explanation or go backwards to things that don't concern you anymore, right?
Mm.
So I always say it this way: why would you give somebody with the $2 mindset access to your $1 million gold mine?
Uh-oh, say it again.
Mm.
That's I love it. I love it. I love it. That was a good one. $2 mindset with to $1 million gold mine. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Okay, so we got the first tip, which is write about something that you're passionate about. The second tip, get your outline done. Okay, don't be up there trying to edit while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, just get your outline done and keep writing. What is the third tip?
Third tip was research. Do your research.
Do
And
your research.
yeah, and the research that you want to do when it comes down to the book is know what's in the market already, right? So that you can fill in the gaps
Ah,
of what's missing. And because you don't want to throw something out there that sounds like something that was already there. Um,
mhm,
giving a fresh perspective, as you mentioned, is perfect, but also you you don't only want to give a fresh perspective, you want to give something of value. You want to make
mm,
sure that what you're sharing is ultimate value. So when you do your research, not only are you looking for what's out there, you're researching your audience, you're studying what
mm,
are they facing right now? What are the biggest issues that your audience is facing? And and as a result of knowing what they're facing, you also know if the thing that you're about to write about is in line and
mhm,
is helpful. Because if it's helpful and it's something that solves a problem, guess what? It's going to become a timeless piece. Now, if
okay,
if not, if it's just something that's helpful for the moment, like for example, if I were to write a book about how to create the best MySpace profile in the world, right now it's null and void. MySpace tried to make a comeback, but it's null and void
mhm,
because everybody's on other platforms. Everybody's on LinkedIn, everybody's on TikTok, everybody's on Instagram, everybody's on Facebook, everybody's
mhm,
on the new hot thing. So
right,
I probably wouldn't write a book about something that's null and void at this moment. But what I would write is something that is I would me personally, I like sticking with the basics, the basic
mm,
strategies. because what most people miss out on is they're trying to they're trying to they're trying to make it too complicated, right?
Okay.
Success is simple. Stick to the basics and repeat. Stick to the basics and repeat. Stick to the basics and repeat. That's success. Once you find
Okay.
a system that works, do it and do it again. Improve, do it again. Improve, do it
Mm.
again. Improve. And so as you're researching, research your topic to know what's missing.
Mhm.
Research, look at what the books look like in the industry already. Look at what the writing style looks like. Um, and then lastly, look at your audience and see what it is that they're facing, because there's a loud cry from your audience. And it's kind of like this silent thing, but you see it. If, for example, these days, if I spent 20 years in customer service and sales. So these days, I could easily write a book about the lack of customer service, because we look at restaurants, and I'm pretty sure 7 out of 10 people can say the last time I went out to eat, they missed one thing on the menu, because
Mm.
the person that was taking their order may have sat there and instead of writing down the order, they were like, okay, so what do you want? They got their
Mhm.
hands folded and they're just sitting there listening. Okay, and you, and they didn't take any notes, so something's about to be missing, right? Um, so I can point out the flaws in that system, because I was in that system. I actually worked in call
Okay.
centers. I dealt with escalations. I dealt with people that were extremely toxic. By the time they got to me, they weren't toxic people. They were good people. They just had bad experiences before they got to me.
So, how did you transition into the business of books?
Had to.
Had to. Okay.
And I'll break that down. So the last call center that I worked at was a Fortune 500 company.
Uh-huh.
And I was one of those people who, and I am one of those people. If you give me something to do, I'm about to submerge and learn everything I can in it. So in this
Mhm.
particular call center, in two different departments, I was the employee of the month. I had the top
Mm.
stats. And I found myself, I had management experience, but I had to start over in this call center. Now they opened up they opened up a total of 29 supervisor positions, right?
Mhm.
Of those 29 supervisor positions, they were in one department. It was the department that I was in at that point. They started having people coming in from all different places, and the people that they promoted from within were people that I had trained to get to a certain level. And I remember the conversation vividly. I had an interview, and it was I want to say maybe the third to fifth interview for a supervisor position. Um,
Mm.
one of the managers during this interview said something to me that it made me laugh, because I realized she was being petty. She said she said, "Well, I hear that you're a motivational speaker. I just wasn't motivated during your interview."
Oh.
I was like, "Okay, cool, cool." And then I went back to another supervisor who was, or not supervisor, manager who was mentoring me at that point. And she said, I realize why you're not moving up. She said, you think like a business owner, not like a supervisor.
Mm.
And in that moment, it hurt to the core, because I was like, but
Mhm.
I want to be a supervisor. And that's when God whispered, hey, dummy, she just told you what you're supposed to be. What you fighting for? What are you fighting for? Within I want to say 2-3 months, I uh I actually left that job and and started on the track that I'm on now. And
Wow.
yeah, so in the midst of what others would perceive as what was meant to hurt me, actually made me stronger. And
You
it
know,
yeah,
one of
it
my little sayings is fish don't fly.
oh yeah, eagles do. And eagles don't ask
Yeah.
for permission to fly.
Exactly. And so both of those things are important because a whale, a shark, and I'm going to use a whale because I think whales are one of the just most beautiful, magnificent creatures that God ever designed, right? But if you ask a whale to fly, that's not what they do. And
Mm-hmm.
and so a whale in the sky will feel as if it's unsuccessful. In the same way, a eagle will feel unsuccessful if it's in the ocean. You
Exactly.
have you must understand and be in the right environment to succeed. Okay, so you have to be in a place where your strengths shine, and so don't be afraid to move in place, change. And to your point, Jesus did. You know, Jesus rolled up right on up out of Galilee. He was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Deuces."
Yeah, and he said something that most people miss. Um,
Mhm.
he said a prophet is not without honor except in his hometown. And so
Yes, yes, yes.
until you get
I
out of
didn't miss that.
that
I
that
didn't miss
comfort,
that.
yeah, until you get out of that comfort zone, then it's going to be rare for you to be able to find that thing that you shine and that you do best. So
Mhm.
you got to be willing to explore and find your passion. Like
Mhm.
there's something that we all have that we're good at, that we're great at, but most times we try to fit in with our surroundings. That's why you have
Mhm.
um and I'm going back to hip hop with you. Pac said, you out here hustling, you could be a lawyer. He said, nah, he said, you out here hustling, you should be an accountant. He said, you out here pimping, you could be a lawyer. Because
Mhm.
it's the transferable skills. If you out here hustling, that means you're good with money. You counting, you know sales and marketing. But
Mhm.
but at the same time, nobody ever exposed you to that. And at the same time, if you got a mouthpiece to put people in a bad position for themselves and changing their lives, why not help people with that same tool that you were given? Use one of those 5 gifts or those 5 talents that God gave you for something that's even greater. And don't try to. I find it's like up until high school, we're trapped in this fish tank, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
what I mean by this fish tank is there's so many people around us, and we have to find within this small little knit circle the people
Mhm.
that are most like us. And a lot of times they're not like us. But it's
Right.
not until we get out of our 6 blocks that we are able to find what and who we really are.
Mhm.
Because you may have been around basketball players your whole life, like me. I'm 6'7". I'm supposed to play basketball or play football for somebody. No, I like to read too much. I like to, and not saying anything against athletes. Let me correct that real quick, because there's some extremely talented and intelligent athletes, but my talents didn't come in the form of being athletic or physically fit. But
Mhm. Mhm.
the things that I was good at were I found joy in numbers. I found joy in reading. I found joy in writing poetry, not writing the long stuff. But as a result, it wasn't until I started finding my own tribe that I was able to just say, oh, this is where I was supposed to be all along. They
Mhm.
lied to
Mhm.
me.
Mhm.
And a lot of times people, like you said, aren't willing to fail when failure is part of the process. You can't
Mhm.
succeed until you fail. And the more you fail, the more you learn to succeed because you learn what doesn't work. Einstein said it wasn't that I found 1,000 ways um not to it wasn't that I failed 1,000 times at creating a light bulb. I found 1,000 things that didn't work.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
it's when you find that all you need is one. When you find that one thing that you love, that you're good at, that you're better at than most, then guess what? Now you're in your lane. You can be happy and you can do
Mhm.
something that you love that actually impacts the world and that changes the world for the better. But you have to be willing to get out of old wineskins.
There you go. To thy own self be true. And yes, you have to get out of old wineskins. That is a biblical reference, my friends. If you don't know it, please do look it up. TD, if you would put that scripture in there, I'd greatly appreciate it. Um, okay, now tell us this. Um, if somebody wants to write a book, you've told them a little bit of the sprinkle in the sauce, a few of the seasonings that's in your success sauce. But if someone said, you know what, I just need the whole package deal. Okay. What does it take to onboard with you? And then what do they get when they're with you?
There's a few different options. So if you are looking at writing your book from start to finish, we
Hmm.
have a few different options. We have coaching plans, and we actually have a weekly accountability group where we meet
Hmm.
7 o'clock Central Standard Time each morning, and we actually go into our goals. We talk about different aspects of business, as different aspects of writing. That you can go to Business of Books Matt or bobmpublishing.com and set up that consultation. On the other hand, if you are looking to write that book and you've worked on your manuscript, you got a lot of it done, or you're
Hmm.
just getting started, because most people have it in here. They got the idea in their hearts and in their minds, but they just don't know how to finish it. We have a full team, editors, and our editors. Most people, when they say we have editing, um, they're talking about something that you can do in Microsoft Word, which is just spell
Hmm.
check, grammar check, and punctuation. That's not what we do. Our editors actually do copy and line editing, which is going through line by line by line and taking
Hmm.
your work from the level that you have it at to um, that professional level that you want, that conveys the message that you want, that engages your readers. We have cover designers. Our cover designers and graphic designers have worked with the absolute best in the industry, and have years of experience. We format the book. We have marketing. My wife is phenomenal with marketing, and she does our marketing for new authors. We have audio engineers. So if you want that book to go from just being a regular book to an actual audio book on Audible, then we have that as well. But before we even start the process, we meet to actually discuss your goals so that we can get that book out of you and get it to the world. Because a lot of times it's not that you don't have a story, it's not that you don't know how to write, it's that you don't know where to start. And we take
Hmm.
the guesswork out of the process and break it down for you, make it plain. Go back, take the goal, what is it? Write the vision and make it plain so that the heralds may run with it. We
All right.
help you, yeah, we help you to do just that. Take that book out of just idea form and break it down into something that's gonna be in a structure, but it's also going to sell and teach you how to maximize those opportunities once that book is done.
So, how much might something like this cost?
It depends. It
Okay. What
depends.
does it
So
depend
there's
on?
say it again.
What does it depend on?
It depends on the services that someone is looking for. So if you were to, I'll say, if you were to go elsewhere for exactly what we do, there are people that charge as much as 25,000.
Okay.
For to work with us, we're much more cost efficient.
Okay. Okay. So, what might a beginning package start at? What might, because this is airing. I cannot tell you how many people I know who want to write books. And we're airing on LinkedIn and a couple of, well, several other platforms as well. People might want to come to you, but they'll be afraid to if they don't know
They don't know
if
the
it's
price
even
of the services.
right, if they don't know if it's even in their budget to
Yeah.
begin with.
I'll say this. If this is your if you are looking to get that book out,
Hmm.
um, then yeah, we have a package that is 5,000 is our basic, And
Okay.
that's everything from start to finish. We're going to help you get that book edited. We're going to design that cover for you. We're going to give you your first month of marketing included in that. But we're
Mm-hmm.
also going to launch you, as we've done for
Okay.
the last 226 authors, to Amazon #1 bestseller.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a 5,000. If you say, hey, I saw you on Coach Love show, and the title was "The World Is Yours," then I will throw you a discount and put a
Okay.
2% discount on that to bring it down to 4,500. Um,
Okay.
now it depends on when you want that book to get out. We can help
Mm-hmm.
you get it done, and it doesn't take us long at all. We're very fast and efficient with the process.
Okay.
So I'll say in about 90 days, you could be the next Amazon #1 best-selling author.
That's amazing. And so, let's talk about what having a best-selling book does to your career. Let's talk about that.
All right. So there's a few things, and I'll go back to experience on this one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in, I want to say 2016, I was at one of the schools. We were doing a youth program. I have a youth leadership program, Claim Your Destiny youth leadership program. And I'm in there. We had just had a great session with the kids in the school, and I'm walking by and I see this older gentleman who is sitting in front of the cafeteria and this is middle school. Middle school, the school is predominantly black and brown. So to see an older Caucasian gentleman sitting there, I'm like, who is that? I'm walking with one of the counselors, and she says, oh, he's an author. He comes in. Well, we can get grants to bring in authors to speak to the kids. I said,
Ah,
oh, I did not know that. I said, did you know that I'm also a published author? Immediately the conversation detoured to the front office, where they went and proceeded to write me a check for 25 of my books. Now, that's just being an author. As a result of being a best-selling author, here's what happens. It opens up those doors for you to create different income streams. And I wrote it down. Um, you're looking at least 20 different income streams that are trapped inside of your book. And the reason I
mhm,
say trapped is because if you don't have the right person to help you pick that lock, it's going to sit there. And
mhm.
the book that could be making you millions is sitting there, um, as another bookcase holder, right?
Okay.
So that, being a best-selling author opens you up for different opportunities to
Mhm,
to be on, media appearances, television, podcasts, radio, um, YouTube, right?
mhm,
It also opens up the opportunity for you to speak on different topics. And that's why I say pick something that you're passionate about, because it's going to create opportunities for you. And
mhm.
if someone can introduce you as a best-selling author, then now that's even more credibility that's on your plate. What does that do for your speaking fees? You may have charged $100, $200. Most beginning speakers is like, I just want somebody paid me $100 for an hour.
No, five
Oh,
thousand
please.
dollars.
Oh,
No,
I know. Yeah, that those numbers go way up. My fee is far from $100, but my first actual paid speaking engagement was just that, $100. Somebody went in their pocket, they were passionate about it, and they paid me $100. Now, as a best-selling author, you can set those fees minimum 1,000 to 2,500 to 5,000, but
Mhm.
don't set that fee if you can't deliver.
Okay.
Please don't set that fee if you can't deliver, because I've sat in different presentations where I'm like, that's the
Don't be
person that y'all just
mean.
paid this money for.
Mhm.
Okay, when do I get a
Mhm.
chance to go up? Because I'm about to blow
Wow.
everybody out the water with this.
Okay.
um, it also opens up opportunities for coaching. If you have a passion for something and you're an expert at something, um, and when I say an expert, it doesn't mean that you know everything, but you know more than most. That gives you the opportunity to create your signature coaching program to help others. Um, Putting on, it gives you the opportunity. It just opens up so many opportunities. Like I said, and as a best-selling author, that gives you leverage. Whereas somebody else may say, "Hey, I wrote a book," and we've
Mhm.
all seen it. These people say, "I've written a book," and then you get the book, and it's like, "Oh, okay, so we in third grade again."
Woo! No, you didn't. Oh my goodness.
I'm I'm just I'm being honest. But the beautiful thing about taking this serious is that even when someone doesn't have the best, we can help rebrand them and take them and completely restructure what they had so that they can see the greatness that they had trapped inside of that project that wasn't necessarily given a fair chance at first.
So, are there ghostwriters available for
We
those?
also have, yeah, we also have ghostwriters available.
All right, amazing, amazing. So, where can everybody find you?
You can go to our website, bobmpublishing.com. That's bobmpublishing.com. And I spell it all the way out because it's not BOMB, it's BOBM publishing.com. Um,
What does that BOBM stand for?
Business of Books Mastermind.
All right, all right. You
Yeah.
guys heard it here first, but you won't hear it here last because I'm telling you, nothing can stop him. He's on the way up.
Come on now.
Oh, I gotta love it. Thank you so much again for stopping by and sharing your brilliant process and mind with you. And I don't know if you saw in the audience, they gave a shout out to your beautiful wife. So that was
Yes, she
fabulous.
did. My
And hopefully, yes,
baby.
yes, your baby, your baby, your baby. So thank you for watching, everybody. Y'all have a good night. Bye bye for now.